I know Anakin. Your vision is flawed.
Welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. The Clone Wars enters its final stages. Ominous foreshadowing. Darth Maul's losing streak continues. And of course, Easter eggs, references, and things that you might have missed. First of all, the episode begins with the old Lucasfilm logo to give this final arc a more epic cinematic feel. The title cards are red instead of blue to show that the Sith are taking control of the galaxy. The title of this episode is The Phantom Apprentice, a play on the title of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But this title also has a double meaning, referring to both Darth Maul and Ashoka Tano. In a way, they're both Ronin, space wizard samurai without masters. They exist outside of the traditional Jedi and Sith orders, so they're at the fringes of the Star Wars saga, like phantoms. Darth Maul even says,
"We were both tools for greater powers."
Last week, I pointed out that Maul's Mandalorians wear red in his honor, and some have added horns to their helmets, but I didn't notice till this episode that his other followers have markings on their helmets that look like horns. When Maul says,
"You once liberated me from my imprisonment by Sidious,"
he's referencing events from issue 1 of the Son of Dathomir comic book. He also says,
"It is not the way of your people to hide here in the gutters,"
which unfortunately actually becomes their way in The Mandalorian.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Now, if you were surprised that Maul had never heard of Anakin, it's because the only Jedi we've actually seen fight him are Qui-Gon, Kenobi, and Ada Gallia. He only briefly encountered Anakin here in The Phantom Menace. So, believe it or not, this is the first time these two have met, although they'll have a rematch about 20 years later. Obi-Wan mentions Dooku told him about Darth Sidious, and this was way back in Attack of the Clones.
Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
There are small echoes of Revenge of the Sith in this episode, like an action sequence set on top of an elevator.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Last episode took place just before Revenge of the Sith, and this episode takes place during, after Anakin joins the Council, but before Obi-Wan goes to Utapau. So next episode will probably feature Order 66.
I'm so excited!
Speaking of Order 66, you'll notice that Rex does not have a scar on the side of his head. In Rebels, he explains why he and his friends never betrayed the Jedi.
Wolf, Gregor, and I all removed our control chips.
Then he points to the scar where the chip was removed, but he still has his chip in this episode. It'll be interesting to see if he can resist the chip, and that's why
I didn't betray my Jedi.
Clones resisting their programming would also be a fitting way to end this series, which has spent years humanizing the clones. Darth Maul tells Jesse,
"Your mind will speak, or it will break."
We've almost seen this happen before, to the bounty hunter Cad Bane when it took 3 Jedi to overpower his mind. And this whole scene is very reminiscent of Kylo Ren interrogating Poe in Force Awakens. When Obi-Wan talks about Anakin spying on the Chancellor, a rearrangement of the Emperor's theme plays.
He has been instructed to observe the Chancellor and report his findings.
Observe.
Good.
And later, we'll hear the same rendition of the Imperial March that played when Vader died. Almec dying as he says Skywalker is also an homage to the rise of Skywalker when Rey said it and killed the franchise.
Rey Skywalker.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I didn't like the movie, but I love Star Wars. Please don't dislike this video. Tell me what you thought of Rise of Skywalker down in the comments. Actually, this is an echo of Yoda's dying words. There's lots of familiar faces in this episode. There's Gar Saxon from Rebels, Rook Kast from the Darth Maul Son of Dathomir comic, and of course, right here is your mom. Some of the Mandalorians are voiced by veteran Star Wars sound designers David Accord, Bonnie Wild, and Matthew Wood. When the clone troopers are rounding up Mandalorian refugees, the people protest.
Watch it. You can't keep this. You need to leave.
This is because the Mandalorians are a very independent, proud people. That's one reason they stayed neutral in the Clone Wars. Now, this also foreshadows the occupation by the Empire. After these clones invade, they never leave. Maul is seen talking to the members of his Crimson Dawn crime syndicate. Here we can see the Pikes and the Black Sun, who also joined him in the Shadow Collective. But check out this blonde guy here. I'm betting that's Dryden Voss, the main villain in Solo. After all, the end of the movie revealed he was working with Darth Maul all along.
What?
In the throne room, Darth Maul pulls a Kylo Ren and controls blaster fire with the Force. And Maul has also made some aesthetic changes to this room since it was occupied by Duchess Satine. The window has been altered to mimic his face tattoos and appear red. He shows Ahsoka the battle raging outside, which has now happened 3 other times in Star Wars.
Again, it's like poetry, sort of they rhyme.
Now, I don't know if it was intentional, but this whole scene reminded me of the throne room scene in Last Jedi, when Kylo asked Rey to join him. And it's not just the outstretched hand. None of these people are fully Jedi or Sith. They're all in a gray state of flux between these two sides. When Maul ignites his saber, he uses the same form as in The Phantom Menace. Now, there's a good reason for this. In the credits, Ray Park, the original Darth Maul, is credited along with Lauren Mary Kim as Ahsoka. Kim is a mocap artist. This is actually her reel, so we can presume that she and Ray Park actually performed mocap for this fight. This is so cool. The way he holds Bo-Katan is the same position and spot where he held her sister, Duchess Satine. Maul pulls this move on Ahsoka, very similar to the killing blow he struck against Qui-Gon. And Ahsoka says,
Find I have many qualities for you to dislike.
a callback to Luke's line in Empire.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
I love that Maul's only goal here is to prevent Anakin from turning to the dark side, so he can slow Darth Sidious's victory. In Rebels, his only goal is to destroy the Sith. After fighting Obi-Wan, he even takes comfort as he dies, knowing that Luke will destroy the Empire.
He will avenge us.
The transitions between these battles are smooth as silk. I mean, look at that. Outside, the Republic are using the AT-TE tanks, a forerunner to the AT-ATs from Empire Strikes Back. There's also a Wilhelm scream here. Also, notice that Bo-Katan's jetpack shows similar damage to Jango Fett's at the Battle of Geonosis. Really hope she's not going to need that jetpack in the next episode. Their final duel is in the rafters above the city. Now, Mandalorian cities are all indoors because the planet's surface was destroyed by civil wars many years before. And how awesome is this shot? The music during their final duel is accompanied by a large choir to echo the Duel of the Fates.
Again, it's like poetry, sort of they rhyme.
Maul is captured with the rarely used stun setting as we first saw used in New Hope. And finally, here's a cool little detail. Look at how all the visors of Maul's Mandalorians light up when they put on their helmets. Are you excited for this ending? What series would you like to see Star Wars make next? I would like to see something that features the original trilogy cast after Return of the Jedi. Or would you prefer something set between Sith and New Hope? Let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I am Ryan Airy.